Welcome, Rotarians and guests to the Rotary Club of York, where our mission is to improve life in the city of York by connecting our club's diverse community leaders through fellowship, action, and service. I'm your president, Courtney Piccolo, and as you know, we start off each of our meetings by reciting the four-way test. So if you could please join me as soon as the slide is up on the screen. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Today, our opening song, The Star-Spangled Banner, and the pledge will be led by Leanne Wilson, followed by the invocation by Kathleen Martini, and visitor introductions by Tom Caltagirone. Leanne.
For those of you that know about the MLB home run Star-Spangled Banner debacle, we're going to do better. And as you know, I love to use my music for this one. So Rotarians and guests, please join me in the Star-Spangled Banner. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light, so proudly at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, for the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming. That our flag was still there. Say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon. Let us gather and pray as you are accustomed. Thank you for bringing us together, for our health, for this meal, and for the people who prepared it and our speaker. Please let this meal nourish our bodies. We pray for the health and safety of our families and those around us. We pray for those affected by last night's storm and pray that they have the resources they need. Thank you for our speaker, and we thank you for her dedication to peace. Psalm 34:14 says, "Turn from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it." How have you pursued peace in your life? Please take a moment and identify one way in which you can bring more peace into your life today. We are all here because we value service before self. Only by caring for ourselves can we care for others. Please seek out and encourage peace and be thankful when you find it. Thank you.
I am pleased to have the honor of introducing our guests for today's meeting. When I call your name, please stand if you're able and remain standing until President Courtney has welcomed you. Visiting Rotarians, Josh Olweiler from Rotary International. District Governor-elect Mary Brunski from Carlisle. Becky Morgenthau from Carlisle. Kathleen Staup from Carlisle. Past District Governor Dennis Zubler from Elizabethtown. District Governor Paul Thompson from Hershey. Maria Thompson from Hershey. John Bailey from Hanover. Vlad Balfours from Harrisburg. David Corman from Uptown. Sarah Thomas from Uptown. Avery Clark from Uptown. And for our guests, Randy Yoder, guest of the club. Cade Pribula, guest of Ben Shipley. Derek Dilks, guest of Ben Shipley. Jennifer Hitz, President-elect nominee Doug Berman. David Johnston. Now this is a difficult one. Guest of Tom Caltagirone. Jared Zoldos, guest of Brittany Reese.
Tom, you might be the first person that ever got your last name correctly pronounced, so congratulations on that. Visitors, I trust that your experience today is filled with great lunch, fellowship, and some fantastic community leaders and a program that will inform and inspire you. Thank you for being our guest today, and especially to all the visiting Rotarians. Please come visit us again. Rotarians, please join me in welcoming our guests. And now for some announcements. The Communications Committee will meet on Tuesday, July 23rd at 3:30 p.m. at the Fairway Place at Regents Glen. The Membership Engagement Committee, they're holding a networking event on Thursday, July 25th at 10:30 at the York Fair. This includes a behind-the-scenes tour of the York Fair and some lunch that's fair food, which will be very exciting. Parking passes are provided, so please RSVP to Rob Bowen over here. If you're interested, there's no charge, but the space for this tour is limited. The Membership Engagement Committee is also having another event on Tuesday, August 20th from 5 to 7 p.m. We will hold our annual crab feed at the Etzweiler Bungalow on Lake Clark. This fun fellowship event features all-you-can-eat hard-shell crab, so for all you crab lovers. It's BYOB, other foods will be available, and the cost to attend is $25. Again, if you would like to attend, please see Rob Bowen over here at this top table. And thanks to Ashley and Bob for hosting again this year. And now moving ahead to some announcements regarding committee signups from our club's executive director, Lynn Morrison.
Thank you, President Courtney. I don't think I've said that at the podium yet. Feels good. So I wanted to remind you that we have some ambitious goals that we've set from our strategic plan this year. And one of them is to enhance and improve member engagement. And one of the ways we'd like to engage more of our members a little more deeply is in your committee service. Getting more members involved at the committee level is where the deep work of living out our strategic plan is going to take shape. We've heard from some of you that you're looking for more things to get involved in and you want to see our club do more. Well, we can't do more unless you help us do more. We want our club to make a bigger impact in our community. Again, we need you to help that happen. I'm before you today to ask each of you to consider serving on a committee in this coming year. Many of you serve on a committee. Many of you serve on more than one committee, but some of you don't serve on any committees. You can continue to serve on a committee you've been involved with for a while. You can choose a new committee to try. Remember, we changed our committee structure. We have new committees that you can get involved in and find out about. You can add a committee to what you've already been doing. You can serve on a committee for the very first time. I know there's some new members in the club, new member table, probably have not signed up for a committee, but I think one of you already has. I noticed that yesterday. But you can't say no to serving on a committee. If you say no, that's expecting everybody else in this room to do the heavy lifting. Aren't we service above self? We're the Rotary Club of York people. We need your help. Some of you may already have been approached by committee chairs asking, will you continue service on a committee that you've already been involved with? You might also have been approached by someone chairing a new committee saying, hey, I think you could be great help on that committee. If you haven't been approached yet, don't worry. We have lots of great committees doing lots of really great things, and any way that you choose to contribute is a wonderful addition to the club. I want to take a couple of minutes to highlight just a few of the committees that could use your help this year. I can't go through all of them today. If I don't mention a committee you're passionate about or the committee that you chair, you're going to get over it. Right. So a few of our club operations committees that would welcome some new members. Are you a storyteller? I know there's some people in here who tells good stories and like to talk about what we do as a club. The Club Communications Committee could use your help spreading the word about the impact we're making in the community and letting other people, both within the club and outside the club, know of all the good work we're doing. Who do you think takes care of the Facebook page? Who takes care of our website? Who helps with some of the communications? Who does some of the campaigns to spread the word? They could use your help. Do you like to make new friends? If so, the membership recruitment committee could really use your help. That's the committee that works to help bring new members to our club so we can continue to grow and have a big impact in our community. And we really want this year for us to reach that 300 membership goal and blow past that. Meeting services is also a great opportunity for you to have just 30 extra minutes to give to the club. If you have 30 extra minutes, show up a little early before a meeting, stay a little late after a meeting. You might help. You saw these people lead the invocation, lead the opening song. Our meeting services people, meeting support people help with that microphone and questions at the end of the day. It's only 30 minutes, people. Now, you've heard that we've been talking about this as part of our strategic plan, that cultivating youth success is a big priority for us for the next 3 years. We created a brand new committee called the Youth Service Project Committee. This committee, Eric Chase is chairing that. Eric, wave your hand over here. So we need people on this committee who have good ideas, who are passionate, have enthusiasm, and really care about helping kids in our community. This is the place for you. If you want to get in on the ground floor and make that committee happen, Eric's the guy to talk to about that. If you like creating and hosting great events and celebrating generosity, there are 2 York Rotary Foundation, we call it YRF, committees who could use your help. The Fundraising Events Committee, that's the committee that helps plan our golf event. You know, that's a party that just needs some extra help. And we have a brand new committee called the YRF Fund Development Committee that's chaired by past President Glenn Miller, which is a brand new committee. You can raise your hand, Glenn, everybody knows who you are. Notice that both of these 2 committees has the word fun in what they do. So if you want to bring a little fun to that committee, they could use your help there. There's a lot of other great committees I didn't have an opportunity to mention, but they're all listed on our website. So if you want a little more information, you can certainly go and look and see what the new committees look like. But this is what I'd like you to do. I'd like you guys to volunteer. We're going to send out our announcer tomorrow, and there'll be a link in the announcer that you can click on and easily complete an online form letting us know what committees you'd like to serve on this year. Pick something new, pick something you haven't done before, or continue with something you've been passionate about. But we need everybody's help. If you have any questions about committee service, you can reach out to me or to President Courtney. You know, with your help, we can really make a bigger impact this year, and it starts at the committee level. So I look forward to seeing our committee numbers grow and having more of our members engaged. Thank you.
Lynn told me anybody that doesn't sign up is no longer allowed to have dessert. So, all right. And now I invite Josh George to the podium to induct some new members to our club today. Josh George.
Thank you, President Courtney, and how refreshing it is to say President Courtney after a year of President Aaron. Aaron, I love you. Just joking, just joking. So it's my pleasure to introduce some new members to our club today. We are close to reaching that elusive 300 goal that Aaron was really working hard towards, and we will get there with all of your help and recruiting some new members. So first, today, I would like to introduce, and this will be in alphabetical order today to go along with the slides, because apparently I've been remiss in following the order of the slides, and Lynn told me that I had to do that or else I was not going to get back able to be up here. Now, maybe that's what you want. I don't know. So first, and Victoria Connor. I'm sure many of you know Victoria Connor. She's only been here about 25 times in the last 25 meetings. She is a former neighbor of mine, and I've known Victoria for probably about 20 years now because we used to both live in the Springdale neighborhood of York City. We both moved about a mile away in opposite directions, so now we live about 2 miles apart. She is a graduate of Edison High School in New Jersey and went on to earn her Bachelor of Arts degree in Visual Arts from Rutgers. She is the CEO of the York County Bar Association and has been instrumental in helping grow the funds and the foundation at the Bar Association significantly in her time there. Now, for community service, it's a very, very long list, but it's not quite as good as Tony Campisi's list. But she said Tony's got a couple years on her, so that's why, and she'll be there in no time. So I'm just going to highlight a couple things. She is a 2020 Athena Award winner from the York County Economic Alliance. She's been an instructor for Ollie at Penn State York. She is a past York Federal Fellow and also serves on the York Federal Fellow Selection Committee and has been an organizing committee member for Pink Power. Her hobbies include family, gardening, reading, travel, and yoga. She's married to Mike, and they are the parents of 2 adult children, Brittany and Michael. And she is a past member of the Uptown York Rotary Club, where she started that club about 13 or so years ago it's been, and was one of the founding members of that club. Thanks, Rob Bowen, for helping out with that all those many years ago. And thanks to you Uptown members for showing up today to support Victoria. If you'd also like to switch, you have the opportunity to do that. And she is proposed for membership by Brian Tate. Ladies and gentlemen, Victoria Connor. All right, next we jump to Shane Rohrbaugh. We go from C to R here. Shane is a graduate of York Suburban High School. Shane, did you wave? And went on to York College, where he earned his Bachelor of Arts in History, and then went to Widener, where he earned his JD and became a lawyer. Interestingly enough, he is no longer a lawyer. So you lawyers in the room can talk to him about that and see if he made a good decision or not. He is actually the executive director now of the Belmont Theater. And no surprise, prior to becoming the executive director, his community service was he was on the board of directors and was the treasurer at the Belmont Theater for many, many years. And that's probably part of the entrance into being the executive director. His hobbies include geocaching, hiking, chess, and barbecuing, to name a few. He is married to Elizabeth, and they are the parents of daughter Eleanor, who is 8, and son Cohen, who is 3. And he is proposed for membership by Mike Osherman. Ladies and gentlemen, Shane Rohrbaugh. Next, we have Jamie Russo. Jamie, if you give a polite wave. Jamie is a graduate of Littlestown High School. That's close to here over in Adams County. And then she went on to earn a Bachelor of Science degree in Marketing and Fashion Merchandising from IUP. She is an account manager for Fig Industries, has nothing to do with food, but I'm sure she'd be happy to talk to you about Fig Industries after the meeting if you would like to learn a little bit more. Her community service includes she is a board secretary for Papertown Pinners, where she lives in Spring Grove. She's a volunteer for the Lancaster Lebanon Habitat for Humanity. She's been through the Leadership Handover program and also has been a volunteer for Girls on the Run. Her hobbies include time with family, paddleboarding, gardening, and running. She is married to Adam, and they are the parents of 2 kids, Paul, who is 8, and Quinn, who is 6. And you may have heard a few meetings back, she was here to check out our club, and we learned that past President Glenn Miller had actually married her and Adam. So it's no surprise that Glenn Miller is her proposer. Ladies and gentlemen, Jamie Russo. And last but certainly not least, Jennifer Seal. Jennifer is a graduate of Putnam City High School in Oklahoma City. Nobody else, seriously. Then went on to earn her Bachelor of Arts in History from the Oklahoma City University, and then also a Master of Arts in History from the University of Central Oklahoma. I think you have the triumvirate of schools that nobody else has ever heard of. She now serves as the Director of Strategic Partnerships for the Bill of Rights Institute, and that's what brought her here to Central Pennsylvania. She is a past committee chair for her previous Rotary Club, which I'll mention in a minute. She has served for many years as a trustee at the Mayflower UCC Church, and she has been a board chair for her Neighborhood Alliance. Her hobbies include singing, reading, travel, and languages, and she is married to Darren, and she is a past Rotarian in none other than Oklahoma City, which, and Lynn, you probably know this better than I do. I think they're bigger than our club. So I guess we got some work to do, people. And she is proposed for membership by Jackie Summers. Ladies and gentlemen, Jennifer Seal.
All right. Well, Victoria and Shane, Jamie and Jennifer, welcome to the Rotary Club. We're thrilled to have you join us. You'll find a community dedicated to making a positive impact both locally and globally. Your unique talents and perspectives will be invaluable as we work together on meaningful projects and initiatives. Together, we'll build lasting friendships and create a better future for all. So welcome aboard, Rotarians. Another round of applause. And now I invite Lynn Bergdorf to the podium to award a Service Above Self Award. Lynn.
York is fortunate to have incredibly talented people in our community. Certainly at the top of the list is Mr. Randy Yoder. A graduate of Susquehanna University, he holds a master's degree from Westminster Choir College. He has toured as a professional musician and taught and performed here in York for many years. Randy is well known for founding the York County Honors Choir for York's 250th anniversary. He conducted the choir for 22 years, impacting the lives of countless students in this choir and in many performances. Randy currently teaches piano at York College. He is the music director at Eastminster Presbyterian Church and the musical director for Encore, the York County High School Musical Theater Showcase. He is involved in numerous productions each year, one of them being our Rotary's Rave Reviews. It is a privilege to recognize Randy with this Service Above Self Award for the contributions he has made to students and to this entire community. Thank you.
This even has my name on it. I'm from Lancaster County originally, and when I came here more than 50 years ago to teach at Northeastern School District, I wasn't sure I was going to stay. I am really glad I did. York is a wonderful place to work. It's a wonderful place to meet people. The support that has come to me over the past 50 years is so much appreciated. I'm grateful to Lynn because she keeps me busy. For Distinguished Young Women, for Encore, for Rave Review. Yeah, the Rave Review. I was in it. I just don't know what it's called. Yeah. And I am grateful to the Rotary Club for your support of the arts. And in York, you do wonderful work, and I appreciate this more than you know. Thank you.
Randy, thank you again for your unwavering commitment to making a positive difference in our community, and more importantly, for liking York more than Lancaster. Thank you. And now I invite our district governor, Paul Thompson, to the stage, and he will be introducing today's speaker. Paul.
I have to move this for the photo up. There we go. Thank you very much, President Courtney. I'm only here because I got a text from her at 5 a.m. saying you will come and you will have a nice event. So, but no, seriously, it's an amazing club. I always love coming here. I was asked today if I have a parking place assigned, not yet, but I'll be back in September to talk more. Okay. And thank you for welcoming all of us. Many of the visiting Rotarians are members of district officers and members of district committees. They're here, and this morning they met with our guest and your foundation committee, and we had a very productive conversation on not just raising money, but on spending money, which is, a pretty noble thing we do around the world, which brings us to the honor of introducing today's guest, Trustee Marty Helman, who's a remarkable person, a thinker and a doer, somebody is rare to get a chance to see. There are only 15 foundation trustees in the world out of 1.4 million Rotarians, and you have one of them here today. She started out in Rotary in 2003. She and her late husband, Frank, walked into the Boothbay Harbor, Maine Rotary Club and said, "Hey, we're here to join your club." And from there, it was nothing but vertical climb. She was president of that club. She was district governor of that district. She was foundation chair of that district. She then got involved in training at the zone and at the International Assembly level. She's done presentations at many Rotary International conventions. All told, she's done just an amazing series of contributions. She's obviously a major donor, a Paul Harris Society member, a Legacy Society member, and she directed a trust for many years with her husband, the Fran and Walter, what's the name of it? Otto Family Trust, and she directed $15.5 million to the creation of a peace university in Istanbul. I'm sure she'll be talking about that also, but all in all, it's a very amazing story, and she's been a very successful fundraiser. In fact, I would advise each of us here to, even now, check to make sure you have your wallet, your car keys, and your phone before she starts talking, because that'll happen. When Paul Harris envisioned Rotary, he envisioned two Rotarians coming together and sharing fun and friendship and doing good in the world. I don't think he ever envisioned Trustee Marty Helman and President Courtney together. I think that's critical mass, and we all have to be careful what that could result in. So let's get Marty up here and find out what she has to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here among friends, because one of the wonderful things about Rotary is we're all friends. We're all invited to lunch in each other's clubs. So next time you come to Maine, check me out in Boothbay Harbor. It'll be Thursday evening. We have a good club too. I've been asked to, Governor Paul mentioned what our founder, Paul Harris, did or did not intend. He thought that he was starting a fellowship organization for businessmen. He was wrong. It is that, of course, businessmen and women today. About 12 years later, a guy named Arch Klumph got the idea of starting a fund that would, and doing service projects. And that was the start of the Rotary Foundation. Even once we had the Rotary Foundation, all the projects were community-based. And of course, we were in many communities around the world, but notice I said around the world. And we had clubs in other countries before we had international service. It took a guy, a Rotarian from Halifax named McCrae, Donald McCrae. And he was the one in the back of the room who said, we have to do international service. We have to do international service. You know that guy, not in the back of this room, of course, but you've seen him in other organizations you're part of. Every time he stands up, you know what he's going to say? That was Don McCrae. And nobody was interested. Along came World War I. People still weren't interested. But in the aftermath of World War I, somebody had made the mistake or had the brilliance, your choice, of making Donald McCrae the head of Rotary's Bylaws Committee. Never underestimate the chair of the Bylaws Committee, the guy who's in charge of the rules. And so sure enough, in 1921, at the International Convention held that year in Scotland, in Edinburgh, Scotland, a bylaw change got pushed through, which was the first time that this organization, first founded in 1905, first time the word international showed up in our governing documents. And we all, of course, continue to be community-based. But with that word international, we began to have international service as well as local service. That was the start of it. Thank you, Donald McCrae. Now, those first international projects tended to be scholarships. The idea was that if we send young men from Germany to study in France and England, and young men from France and England to study in Germany, then we'll get to know each other and there'll be no more war. It didn't quite work out that way. The makings of World War II were already started, but that was the original plan. And after World War II, those scholarships morphed into the Ambassadorial Scholarship Program, which some of the guys who've been around here for a while are nodding their heads around, because those lasted until 2014 when they morphed into what we called global grant scholarships. But I'm going to fast forward to the mid-90s when a guy named Rajendra Saboo from India, past president of Rotary International, was chair of the board of trustees. And apparently it was a low-key day at the office. Anyway, Rajendra Saboo went for a walk and he got lost on the campus of Northwestern University. Northwestern is a urban campus. There's no big gate to go in, and it's right there in Evanston where Rotary is headquartered. So I will admit I've gotten lost on Northwestern campus as well. I can understand that. Anyway, Rajendra Saboo is trying to figure out where he is, and he looks up, and there's the sign that says Kellogg School of Management. And Mr. Saboo says to himself, he says, if a cereal company can have a management school, why can't Rotary have a peace school? And being the chair of the board of trustees, he came back and he created a work group. And a decade later, Rotary had 6 peace schools. And that's a true story. So the Rotary Peace Center program started in, our first students graduated in 2003. We actually have 2 different academic tracks. One is a 2-year fully fellowshipped master's program. It's available in 5 campuses around the world. Here in North America, it's a joint venture of Duke University and University of North Carolina. And as I said to the smaller group this morning, for those of you who follow collegiate sports, if Rotary can get Duke and UNC to work together, they really know how to do peace. Every year, 10 students from an international competition matriculate at the Duke UNC program, and 10 matriculate at each of the other 4 campuses for a total of 50 students. And they graduate 2 years later with a master's in peace and development or peace and conflict resolution. Both the studies and the titles change depending on which university they go to. And we now have a total of around 1,700 scholars, graduates of these programs, working around the world. The other program, which is the one that's less well known, is a graduate certificate program. And originally, it was only available in one school in Bangkok, Thailand, Chulalongkorn University. Those of you who are remember the old musical, The King and I, the Crown Prince, his name is Prince Chulalongkorn. And in real life, not the musical, Chulalongkorn, once he becomes king, starts a university, and it's still the most, or one of the most prestigious schools in Thailand. And that was the home of our Peace Center there for many, many years. Now, that was a 3-month program. That was an intensive book learning, classroom-based 3-month program. And then in 2018, a funny thing happened. And Rotary took a serious look at both programs. And they were doing what we wanted them to do. But the feeling was that book learning is not the right way to study peace. Getting out there and actually getting involved in peace projects is much stronger than reading about it in books and so forth. And so several changes were made to the certificate program. The first is that Rotary wanted to grow the program. So the plan was to go from 1 campus to 4. The second thing was to make it, yes, a short time on campus, around 10 weeks, and then 10 months back at home doing an independent study peace project. So the idea is that when the students actually graduate, they won't have talked about peace. Well, they will have done that, but they won't just have talked about peace or read about peace. They will have done peace. They will have done peace. And the third thing in growing the program was decide to make these regional centers. And so Rotary picked 4 areas, including Asia, where the existing program was, 3 other areas where Rotary did not have a peace center and where peace is needed very, very badly. And those 3 areas were Sub-Saharan Africa, Middle East, North Africa, and Latin America. And those, in addition to Asia, were to have the new regional centers. Now, as I said to the group this morning, when I first heard about this regionality, I completely did not get it. My thought was that Rotary was saving money on airfare and was no longer going to transport people all the way around the world. And I couldn't have been more wrong. And I learned this when I was on a Zoom call with a Rotarian named Yinka Babalola. Yinka is from Nigeria. He's a past Rotary International Vice President. And in speaking about the Peace Center that has since opened in sub-Saharan Africa, the first one of the extension programs. Yinka said, he said that this school, Makerere, marks the first time in history that an institution in Africa has been set up to train African peacemakers to come up with African solutions to African problems. And that is the importance of the regionality. That is the importance of the regionality. So as Paul alluded, I was able to get a gift that is paying for the new university, which is starting next year in Istanbul, Turkey. And Bahçeşehir University will, the program there will specialize in the Middle East and North Africa regions. And with that, Rotary is really going on the peace map because after all, I think we can all agree that the Middle East is the most conflicted area in the world and has been in all of our lifetimes. And so for us to be working in the area of peace with peacemakers who are going to be mostly from Middle East, North Africa and dedicated to working in Middle East, North Africa is a really, really huge deal. And as part of that, Stephanie, our current president, Stephanie Erchik, is inviting all of us to come to Istanbul next February for the grand opening, if you will, of the center. And I happen to know that Paul and Maria are first in line to do that. So I suspect that if this club wants to send a delegation, that would be a marvelous thing. And if you want to see Rotary at work, and if you want to get together with 1,000 of your closest Rotary friends, I can't think of a better way to do it. So that's the second of the regional schools. The third one is, for other reasons, Chulalongkorn is dropped off of our list of schools. It will be replaced by a school. We have 3 semifinalists. Two are in India and 1 is in Korea. And we'll be making some decisions as to those 3 schools are currently writing RFPs, and we will make a decision. The trustees will make a decision next their winter meeting in February about which of those schools it will be, and that school will open in 2027. And after that will be presumably the school in Latin America. So it's a very exciting program. The thing to know is that Rotary is creating these peacemakers, as I say, 1,700 strong, to go out and do peace. Now, how do you do peace? What is peace? What is peace? We know what war is. Is peace the absence of war? Or is it something more? I mean, we know what it looks like when bombs fall. We get to see those pictures in the newspaper. But what does peace look like? And so it helps when you're thinking about this to understand that when Rotary talks about peace, it's talking about those elements in a society and in a community that are necessary for peace to grow. As Rotarians, we know what those are. That if a family doesn't have enough resources and there's instability in terms of where the next meal is coming from. If a family in a developing world or elsewhere doesn't have the school books they need, if there's a disease that is rampant, these things all mean that peace is not possible. Because until we have peace in our homes, we can't have peace in the community. And until we have peace in the community, we can't have peace on a larger scale. And we need peace in our nations in order to have peace between our nations. And so when Rotary is talking about peace, we're really talking about everything that we do in our humanitarian work and our areas of focus. We're talking about clean water. We're talking about disease prevention. We're certainly talking about education, and we're absolutely talking about human rights and women's rights. We're talking about every member of society having what they need to be heard and to be part of, integral to that society. And that is how Rotary defines peace, positive peace. And that is what our students at our centers are studying and bringing back to their communities in one form or another. So I always like to end by saying that, frankly, I know of no organization other than Rotary that has the worldwide reach, the future outlook, and frankly, the deep pockets in order to create a program like the Peace Centers. And that I'm always so impressed and amazed at Rotarians who give to the Peace Centers, and they do. Peace Centers cost Rotary over $5 million a year in outright expenses. That does not come out of your membership dues. It comes out of a pot of money, which is actually held in our endowment, and we spend the earnings off of it. And that pot is growing. It's in fact the largest single pot in our endowment, and it's $2 million now. This district just became a Rotary Peace Builder district, which is an awesome achievement that members of this club were part of. And what that means is that this district collectively gave $25,000 to Rotary's Peace Work. So thank you very, very much. And now you know a little bit about where that money is going to. If you ever get an opportunity, there is a Peace Fellow in the Philly Police Department. His name is D.F. Pace. He's a frequent speaker. Get him. He's great. And I'm proud to say that he was a Peace Fellow through the Chulalongkorn program, the short program, back before the term Black Lives Matter had even begun. So Rotary has been at this work for a long time, and we will continue to be at it for a longer time. And it takes all of us, and I appreciate your time very much. And I understand that this club really, really likes to ask questions. Is that right? Let's go.
Are we hot? Maybe everybody who asks a question today should make a $50 donation to the Rotary Foundation. Let's see how many hands go up here. Courtney didn't approve that, so I guess we can't do that. Who's first? Somehow I'm not surprised.
Tell me why. Good morning, afternoon, and thank you for being here. I am wanting to know if you could give us a couple of examples of where you've seen success in one of the regions that have come out of the Peace Schools. Any wins that you've seen? Thank you.
You know, thank you for that question. It gets to the nut of it, because as I was saying earlier, we don't know what peace looks like, and we don't know when a war has been prevented. Rotary can't do anything about the current wars. I read yesterday there's something like 56 conflicts ongoing right now in the world. I mean, the number is just unfathomable. And we can't stop the bombs from falling. What we can do, and it's hard to measure, but what we can do is create the kind of ground in which peace can flourish. So no, I can't tell you that we've stopped a war someplace, or that we've even changed the law someplace, because it's not that cut and dried, and it's not iterative. It's a process. I can tell you that we have moved from that when you describe peace the way I just did and explain what it's part of, that's not something for folks in some high-powered, statespeople in some high-powered room to think about, but something that all of us are part of, that it really changes hearts and minds, and people get it. People get it, but that's not the way we normally think about it, and it does take a little explanation. I mean, I've gotten into conversations where it suddenly become clear to me that people think that the Rotary Peace Fellows sit around and sing Kumbaya or something, and that's what they study. And I assure you, water rights, basic economics, working with damaged and vulnerable people. I can tell you what some of the Peace Fellows are currently doing, which I would be happy to do. I met a medical doctor from Iraq, who went to Duke University and Duke UNC. He went through that program, and I said something to him about his scholarship, and he said, "It's not a scholarship; it's a fellowship." Now, I'm the one for whom English is supposed to be a first language, so I said, "Okay, thank you." Speaking of water rights, I said, "Okay, can you tell me what the difference is between a scholarship and a fellowship?" And for this gentleman, the difference was that a scholarship is iterative. I give you money, you go to school, we're done. Whereas a fellowship was a relationship. And his point was that he felt so indebted to Rotary for making it possible for him to get this master's, which, by the way, he had to give up his country and his previous life to get, because he brought his family out of Iraq when he moved to the US, knowing that he would not be able to happily move back to Iraq afterwards. Anyway, this gentleman is now doing helicopter medevac work in South Sudan. So I think he's paying it forward with his fellowship. I can tell you about a woman who ended up in Myanmar, in Burma. This was in the happy days between after the military came out and Aung San Suu Kyi came in, and before the military took back over again, and we now have dark days. Anyway, she ended up, they were going to have an election, the first national election in that country in ever, for all I know. It's certainly in a generation. Well, what's an election? What am I supposed to do? What does that mean? Who am I electing? What are they supposed to do? And her job was to go around the country and to towns and meet with village people and townspeople and explain what the job of a representative is and what voting means and what and why you keep your vote secret and to yourself and so on. And she led a team that actually did this all the way throughout Myanmar. One of the things she told me was, in order to be accepted, she made sure that in Myanmar, as in, for example, Scotland in the 19th century, what you wear shows what town you're from. So she made sure that she had the correct dress in the correct fabric in every new region, so that she'd be from here. Well, obviously she wasn't from here, she was an American, but that she would look like, she would be respectful of where here is. Really, really marvelous. Another gentleman from Myanmar, his name is N.K. Ko, and he was in high school when the military was first in charge, and he became a student activist in high school, which wasn't the smartest thing in the world, because he was sentenced to 10 years hard labor for his activism. When he was in prison, that's when he learned his English. There was another prisoner, and at night, they left the lights on 24/7 in order to, as part of the, what you do in prisons, but the floor was dirt. So at night, this other prisoner taught him his English letters by drawing in the dirt. He got out of prison. He decided he couldn't live in Myanmar anymore. He walked across the border to Thailand, which also wasn't probably the smartest thing to do, because in Thailand, you need papers or you're a non-person. He ended up in Manila Airport. Remember that Tom Hanks movie Terminal, where the guy couldn't get out of the airport because he didn't have the right papers? Well, this man lived that for 2 weeks. And finally, New Zealand took him in, and it was in New Zealand that he got the attention of Rotary, went to university, did the master's program. And when I met him back in Myanmar, back in Burma, he was working in Aung San Suu Kyi's government. One of his colleagues, his area was banking, how to stop corruption in the banking industry. One of his colleagues was the general who had run the prison program that he had been an inmate in. And then, of course, Aung San Suu Kyi's government was overthrown. We all held our breath. First we heard he'd been killed, then we heard no, his name was a common one, it wasn't him, and there was nothing heard for 18 months, and he was able to get out. He was able to get out. So he's now in Thailand with papers. There's papers this time. Another man who grew up in Cambodia and survived the killing fields, and he learned his English story. Nobody knew English. In Cambodia, there were some old ladies in town who dated from the French Indochina days. And so he would take the care packages that they would come in, take it to these ladies who'd read the English and sort of figure out the cognates from the French. And that's how he learned English. He got his master's through the program, and he's now back in Cambodia working for UNICEF. He's the country manager of UNICEF. So these stories are frankly sort of beyond belief. And then there's plenty of people who are working in NGOs, who are working for World Bank and the UN. So they're not on the ground doing these dangerous things. In fact, there are a number that turn up, Josh's colleagues in Rotary. One of them is a man named Mo, excuse me. Yes, Mo'ed. Mo is Palestinian. his immediate family is in Palestine. He can't go back there. Well, he could, but he wouldn't be able, I mean, before the war, he could go back, but he wouldn't be able to get out again. So he's started a new life for himself. He now lives in Chicago working for Rotary. And in April, he became a naturalized citizen. Naturalized US citizen. He's married to an American. And in fact, don't tell him I said this because it's a surprise until tomorrow morning, but I'm a quilter. And I quilted him a red, white, and blue quilt, and it's in my luggage. And I'm going to give it to him as a new American citizen tomorrow morning at breakfast. Yes.
I want to thank you for your service. The GSE program was phenomenally successful, at least in my view, and it was canceled. Does this fall under your purview? And if so, when can we talk about restoring that?
It does not fall under my purview, but I'd be happy to talk about replacing it. It was canceled. It was highly successful and highly popular. And of course, I wasn't on the board of trustees in 2014 when it was sunsetted. But the reasons were that it had outlived its original usefulness. Originally, you'll remember it was a vocational exchange. It had more or less morphed into a cultural exchange. And particularly from the American point of view, the number of exceptions that were being asked, either in the length of time or the age of the participants or whatever, was something like 50%. It was huge. It was huge. So as popular as it was no longer a vocational exchange for young people. And also, and probably the overarching thing, is when it started, travel to another country was a really big deal. And now it's not only airplane travel, but if you really wanted a vocational exchange, you'd get on Zoom or pick up the phone or something. So so that's why it was sunsetted. Now in my district, and I'll lay it on Governor Paul. In my district, the District Foundation Committee immediately decided that we would set up a district level exchange. And we set aside DDF every year and choose a spot in the world and do something about it. And this past year, the group went to Poland so that they'd be next door to Ukraine and could see what we could do on a continuing basis in Ukraine. I've heard of other variants of that. Basically, what I'm saying is that with DDF and one of the things we changed in my district is we said to ourselves, what's wrong with GSE? And the answer was too long, non-Rotarians, right? We do 2 weeks, Rotarians, family of Rotarians. So when you do it at the district level, you can do anything. And you can do it at the club level too. I mean, a club this size, if you wanted to set up an exchange every year, every other year. I mean, one of the things that we do in my district is we've said, yes, we will scholarship somebody who can't afford it at all, but most of us can afford something. And so when I was on my district's exchange, I think my costs are around $1,000. And trust me, I was happy to pay $1,000 for my first trip to Uganda. Yeah. So start a committee, get to work.
Other questions before we wrap it up? Thank you, Rob Bowen. He actually paid to ask his question. That's going to go to the Rotary Foundation.
Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
All right. Thank you again, Marty. Marty did not tell you this, but she had to sleep in a hotel last night and get up at 3:30 this morning to be with us here today. She came right from the airport and is leaving right after this to go into her next Rotary event that she needs to head to. So again, thank you so much, Marty, for being here with us today, sharing your Rotary passion. Obviously, it shines right through you. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to be here with us today. As you all know, instead of giving the speakers a gift, we purchase a book. Pretend I'm holding it up. I left it sitting on the table. And we ask the speaker to sign the book plate. Yes, thank you, Marty, for holding up the book. So Marty signed the book plate. We will be donating that book locally to Crispus Attucks. And along with the book, we will also be donating a bookmark made by the students at Creative York. So that will be donated. And then next week, we will be hearing from David Miller. Dave is a 4th generation farmer and the president of Miller Plant Farm. The original 29-acre farm was purchased in 1912 by his great-grandfather. Today, the Miller Plant Farm owns about 240 acres and has preserved 140 acres with the Farm and Natural Lands Trust at York County. Miller Plant Farm is believed to be the last working farm in Spring Garden Township. David's son, Dustin, and his nephew, Steve, represent the 5th generation, and Dave will be telling us about the Miller Plant Farm's diversified business with a garden center and a growing vegetable transplants for commercial vegetable growers. So that will be next week. This meeting is now adjourned.